So, you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny Catani, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithkatani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Friday Follow-Up here on the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Jonny Catani, and we have made it through another week. This is big news. Officially, the last time I introduced this as at least for Friday Follow-Up, the last time I introduced it as the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. If you've been following along, you know that I am changing the name of the podcast to the Cash Flow Chronicles. So officially signing in one last time under the IRR name. But in other news, Happy New Year, everyone. We are officially 5 days. Well, I'm recording this as of January 5th, officially 5 days into the new year, into 2023. What an incredible year 2022 was. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of awesome lessons learned, and very, very excited for 2023. A lot of big, lofty goals that I'm setting myself for. Really awesome. I'm excited. Next Wednesday, we're doing Brandon Turner's big full day goal setting webinar. You may have seen it if you follow him on Instagram or social media or anything like that. He's been talking all about it. So very excited. I very much relate to him and very excited to learn sort of his process for goal setting. I relate to him because he's very much about balance and very much a family man, right? You know, lives in Hawaii with his family, very much involved in his kid's life, and, you know, is a huge promoter of work-life balance and family time. And I very much relate to that because I've talked to people and seen the other side and interviewed them. And I'm not saying one is right or wrong by any means. Certainly everybody is different, but for me, I relate to that. So very, very excited to kind of get his perspective and learn from someone absolutely crushing it in the game as well. So very excited for that. Both Sam and I are going to do a little staycation here in Utah and take a whole day and really set our intentions and be very, very intentional about our goal setting for 2023, as well as very intentional with our year. We've already talked about some plans we had made and potentially canceling those plans, not doing nearly as many trips. We love doing like weekend trips, going to see out of state music, especially going to Denver to see Red Rocks. It's very easy to go there in the morning, see a show and leave the next morning or even that night. And we did that a bunch last year and it was great, but we are shifting our focus this year and, you know, going to be, you know, just paying attention to what the top people in the industry are doing, top entrepreneurs even. I shouldn't even say necessarily related just to the real estate industry, but what some of the top entrepreneurs are doing and just kind of modeling our productivity. Well, I shouldn't say productivity. That's the wrong word. Modeling our behavior after theirs, right? To a sense, of course, putting our own spin on it. That's not to say we're not going to do things and be active. We're very active people. We have a hard time sitting still, but changing what that looks like, essentially, it really boils down to the financials, right? And really doubling down on growing and scaling our businesses this year. And so I'm very, very excited for that. Very excited to bring you guys along. You're going to be along for the whole ride. A lot of big things coming, as I mentioned, in terms of content, really dialing in some new things in terms of new lead magnet, as well as, if you're on my mailing list, you've gotten some great content. There's great stuff there, right? My ebook is great. All of the information, case studies, all of that stuff is great. But I've got even more now to add to it, more up-to-date stuff, a little bit better deals analyzed as well. So a lot of really awesome new stuff coming your way. So I'm very, very excited for that. I hope everyone's excited for this year. I hope you've got big plans for this year. It's going to be an incredible year. Now, it is on the flip side of that. Let's get into some of my favorite stuff, which is some economic data. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen obviously interest rates went up in the second week of December. And you're starting to see layoffs, right? Particularly in the tech industry, which is very sales heavy, very employee heavy, right? A lot of big employee bases in the tech industry. Saw Salesforce just announced a layoff, probably more to come as well, as their Q4 wraps up here in the next month, 6 weeks, I believe. Saw Amazon did a big layoff, Tesla, right? It's happening. This is all normal things, right? No huge red flags as of now. Still, things are going on kind of the pace that I had mentioned a couple months ago is where I think things are going. Starting to see a slowdown or a cool down, whatever you want to call it, in real estate. Paying attention to, of course, residential. On the commercial side, which is not as heavily covered by mainstream media, seeing a slowdown in transaction volume as well. I'm on a lot of lists, and just from if I wasn't big on economics like I am and constantly consuming data, just from observing my inbox in terms of how many new deals come across my inbox, big slowdown, especially from comparing to 6 months ago. But that's very common, right? Because I said, what happens in these commercial deals is they take a long time, right? They're not like a residential deal where you're closing in 45 days, 60 days, right? 60 days is a long closing in a residential closing. And in commercial real estate, 60 days would be fast, right? You're usually 60, closer to 90 days. And so that's 3 months, right? So you're seeing interest rates now on some of the debt financing that you're seeing in these deals now are still interest rates that they were able to lock in 3 months ago. So you're in the mid to high five still. So what you're going to start seeing now are the deals happening over the next quarter. You're going to start seeing the deals happening that are getting locked in right now with these low six, low to mid 6% range. And because there's still a lack of seller capitulation, the deal flow is slowing. The transactional volume is slowing, is what I mean to say. Still deal flow from talking to my network, seeing a lot of deal flow, especially in particular markets, right? Not a big surprise in some of the markets, right? Texas, Phoenix, your Sunbelt states, Florida, Alabama, the Carolinas. But a thing to pay attention to on the consumer side, which affects the investor base, right? Which can affect the investor base is credit card debt. Credit card debt is now increasing in terms of more and more people are now just making the minimum payment on their credit cards as opposed to just paying off the whole thing. So starting to see saving counts diminish and deplete, and that will continue. And my prediction is that by end of Q2, Q3, you're going to see a really, really heavy slowdown in a lot of your major industries. Now, the good news is that inflation is starting to slow. The data points are coming that inflation is starting to slow. So I think this will be a very slow year economically. However, if the right economic factors start to switch, which definitely something to pay attention to, then I do think the Fed will begin to lower interest rates starting probably Q3, late Q3, early Q4, potentially as late as the beginning of 2024. So that's kind of the prediction that I think is going to happen in terms of what the year is going to look like. Now, there's some other outside factors to pay attention to, right? Energy costs, obviously gas prices coming down, but we still have the war in Ukraine happening. There are some other countries, Japan finally raising interest rates. So you're starting to see some global factors as well that will certainly affect our economy. Now, where we're slightly insulated is that the dollar is basically the global currency. So the dollar is still very strong on a relative basis to other currencies. So that is something to pay attention to as well. However, there are a lot of global factors that we're not paying attention to that I'll be 100% honest, I'm not as in tune with. However, from listening to economists who are far more intelligent than I am and can analyze and understand a lot more data than I can, they're starting to point towards a global slowdown, which certainly, of course, affects us. Now, how that affects real estate, that still remains to be seen. You've got some smaller countries, third world countries, that are starting to be affected by our interest rates going up in terms of their interest rates increasing on the debt that they own, from borrowing from us as well, right? Those interest rates can be variable, as well as bonds. So a lot of things to pay attention to economically, globally as well. So one thing I'm going to do for next week is get more global economic data. I'm a little bit macro domestically, right, in some North America stuff, but primarily just the US economics is kind of my forte. But our economy affects other countries affect our economy. So full transparency, that is something that I need to catch up on and learn more on. So that will be my self-given homework for next week. And I will have some juicy global economic data for you guys. A lot of things to pay attention to there in terms of imports, exports, supply chains, as well as other countries in terms of their interest rates, their macroeconomics, and how that affects us. So that will be something to look forward to for next week. Again, Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone had a safe New Year's. I hope you had a great first week of the new year and are looking forward to 2023 like I am. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, do not forget to like, subscribe, rate, review, all the beautiful things. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Jonny Cattani. And I will talk to you guys next week. Signing off for the last time as the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. See you guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, you know it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.